Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I was driving in a new neighborhood I wasn't familiar with, and when I looked around, there was a Dollar Tree I'd never seen before. New Dollar Tree treasures. So I wanted to show you the things that I bought at this new Dollar Tree store that I've never visited before. First of all, it's still a Dollar Tree. All of the ones that I visited when I've been down in the Southwest have all still been $1. I haven't seen any that are changing over to have things that cost more. They've all still been Dollar Tree stores and everything is $1. I did notice that a few of the shelves were bare, and what was surprising was how few Christmas decorations there are. Christmas is coming and you'd think that it would be a glut of decorations at the Dollar Tree, but there really were not very many. So I'm wondering if those are the items that are stranded on those container ships off of Los Angeles. I had read somewhere recently that Dollar Tree had actually chartered their own cargo ships with container ships so that they could have their items shipped over from China, delivered to a different port somewhere on the West Coast so that they could get around the bottleneck that is in Long Beach and Los Angeles. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was something that I read. So if you know more about that, leave us a comment and let us know what you have found out about how Dollar Tree is able to stock or not stock their stores. One surprising aisle was very few toothbrushes, very few tubes of toothpaste. Many of us have already stockpiled on extras of those because it's simple to just pick them up as you go along. But if you don't have extra toothbrushes and toothpaste, please stock up now before they are perhaps all gone or they come back and they're very much more expensive. Dollar Tree also was thin on the first aid supplies, but they still had a nice variety. Take an inventory of your first aid supplies and make sure that you don't have any gaps or missing items. You may want to stock up on those now. They had an ample selection of rice, beans, lentils, and egg noodles, some pasta, and a nice supply of pasta sauces, so you can still get those things. When it came to canned meats, they mostly had Vienna sausage, tuna, and sardines, and a lot of the variety that we're used to seeing at the Dollar Tree is just not there. You can have all the Vienna sausages you want, but I don't care to have any of those. So if you can still find foods that you do want, stock up now before they're gone. A new item I spotted was Betty Crocker potato sides that was sweet potatoes, but when I examined the package, it's already out of date. It's past the Best By Use By Sell By date by nearly a month. Be sure that you're checking the dates on the foods when you look for them in the store, because that has been problematic, that either they're very close to being out of date or they're already expired. We want to add to our prepper pantry with the foods that are going to last the longest, so look them over. You want foods that are at least into the end of 2022, 2023, 2024, if you can find them. So look carefully, shop carefully so that you're getting the most for your food storage dollars. One item I had not seen before were some dehydrated crispy onions. I have lots of already dried onions, so I didn't get any of those. They also had the Fruta, sesame, and peanut mini bars. I bought those before. There's 9 little bars in the package. They're very tasty. You can portion them out the way that you want. And so if you can still find them where you are, you might want to try them because it's a nice, easy way to have individually wrapped small bites that you could put into your bug-out bag, your lunchbox, your 72-hour kit. It's a nice way to have some little mini bars that are high in protein. Dollar Tree still had a nice selection of spices, but there was no Himalayan salt, which was one of the things I was concerned with when I went to a Dollar Tree a week or so ago, because they had hardly any of the 1-pound bags, and I actually saw some little tiny jars the size of the spices and seasonings that was Himalayan salt, and so that may be the largest container you'll be able to get for $1 at the Dollar Tree in the future. Look on the cleaning supplies aisle. They have cotton mops. You don't want microfiber, you can get a cotton mop, and then you have an unlimited supply of emergency wicks for your oil lamps. You can make an oil lamp if you have a cotton wick, so a mop gives you a nearly unlimited supply. I'll put a link to a video I made a few years ago on how to make your own oil lamps using the strings of a mop for the wick. It's very simple to make your own oil lamps, and a $1 cotton string mop to add to your prepping supplies could be invaluable in a grid down situation. So what did I buy at the Dollar Tree? Well, the first thing I bought was a pool noodle. If you do not have an emergency toilet, get a pool noodle. They had red and green ones for Christmas time, but it doesn't matter what color it is. It already has a hole in the middle. You can take a knife and slit it along the edge and then fasten it over the edge of a 5-gallon bucket. Put a bag in it, hook this over the bag onto the edge of the bucket, and you have an emergency toilet. If you don't have one, get one of these, because for $1 then you're going to have something. Should you have an issue and your plumbing stops working, then you want to make sure that you can still go. I bought a few more of the jumbo Ziploc bags. They're 2.5 gallon. These are great for putting together shelf meals. And then my son just gave me a recipe for how to marinate a whole chicken in buttermilk. So I thought these oversized bags would be great, because then you could fit your chicken in, you could add all of the seasonings that you want. A whole body chicken will fit better into a 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag rather than a gallon Ziploc bag. Look in the school supplies for the pencil boxes. These are great. They have a hinged lid and they're just the right size for storing your plastic utensils. You can put all of your set together in one, or when I go camping with a group, I get several boxes and I put forks in one, spoons in one, knives in another, because then if you're only going to have cereal or something, you can just get the one out, and then people aren't digging through everything, maybe dropping them on the ground and getting them dirty. They can just reach in to the spoon package, get a spoon. Reach into the fork package, get a fork. Reach into the knife package, get a knife. But if you don't need so many, you can put the entire set into one pencil box. I've been buying the Dermacell Lotion from Dollar Tree for a very long time, and they had these large containers of it again, which I haven't seen, or they've been very short supply. Let me show you a trick for how to get the very last drops out of any kind of a tube, for example, the Dermacell. I have this one that's nearly empty, but you know there's always still a lot of product still inside. So I take my scissors and snip off the bottom of it. Then you can reach inside, scoop it out with your finger or with a rubber spatula. Then you take your scissors and you cut it lower. There's still several days worth of lotion in this little part of the container. Now take the bottom of the container and you can pinch it right over the rest of the bottle, and you can still have a sealed container. And you can pop off the top, get out the lotion, put the lid back on, and you have several days worth of lotion that you're able to access easily from your tubes. Dollar Tree only had one package of cotton rounds. I like these. They're great for taking off makeup. They're good in your first aid kit. You can turn them into char cloth. You can dip them into melted wax and make fire starters. But the nicest thing about using these for first aid is they don't leave any cotton fibers when you're cleaning with them. That a cotton ball can leave little fibers behind and a cotton round does not. So these are great to have for all kinds of reasons with your emergency prepping gear. Dollar Tree finally had a new supply of the Path solar lights that I like. These work really great. I've used them clear through the winter in Alaska. They keep working. They're great to have with your emergency supplies. For example, with your emergency toilet. You can store one inside it when you're not using it with your extra toilet paper, extra toiletries. Then should you need to use your emergency toilet, you can take out the supplies, line it with a plastic bag, and then you have a little light to put with it, say if you want to use it out in the yard, or you have it in the bathroom where there's no electricity. You can activate one of these. The solar lights are fully charged when you buy them, and when you pull the tab, it activates it. So if you leave it with your emergency toilet and you haven't activated it yet, then in an emergency, if it's dark and you need a light, you can pull pull the tab out and your light is ready to work. I keep several of these solar lights with my emergency lights simply because they're so convenient. Then you can put them out in the sun again, you can let them get recharged in the daytime, bring them in the night. They're a great way to add light to your home when you need it in an emergency without having to rely on candles and oil lamps or having any kind of burning flames. You want to be very careful if you have small children and pets that you can have lights that are safe, they won't get knocked over. Next, I bought apple pie filling. It's wonderful when you can find this for $1. It's usually $3, $4, even $5. I have a recipe where I put the pie filling and a cake mix into a crock pot to make a dump cake. I'll put a link to a video on how to make a dump cake in your crock pot because it's so simple. You dump it in, put on the lid, and pretty soon you have a yummy, tasty dessert that's just sweet and delicious. I found a can of seasoned field peas and snaps, and I'm not even sure what it is. So it's always fun to find a new and different food and try it out. My thought of field peas and snaps sounds like it should be green peas and green beans, but it doesn't look like that on the label. So I'm going to be interested to open this and have a nice surprise with a meal one of these days. If you've ever tried seasoned field peas and snaps, let me know what you do with it and if it's enjoyable and if this was a good idea to get this or not. Recently I was able to get some turkey gravy. Today I found beef gravy, so I bought one of those. I also picked up another turkey gravy, and just like I've always said, inspect your cans before you get them, but then you have to be careful because it already has a dent. I guess when they were tossing it in the bag, it got conked onto another can, and now this can needs to be put in the front of the pantry and used sooner rather than later because it's dented up near where the seal is, and that's not a can that I would feel confident that I could put it away for the life of the can, which is several years. But now I wouldn't feel that way. I feel like I need to use this within a few weeks. I found Goya refried beans. I've tried many of the Goya products before, but I've never seen the refried beans. I like refried beans. I like to make bean burritos and other kind of Mexican dishes. So I thought I would give these a try and see if it is a tasty recipe. I found a can of Hartford House chili with no beans. Chili with no beans usually has more meat than actual chili. It's also great if you want to make chili dogs. It's nice sauce over other kinds of foods. Having chili with no beans gives you an option for changing up your recipes if you don't just want to have beans all the time, but you enjoy the flavors of chili. I bought a box of vanilla pudding. I don't necessarily think it's the least expensive way to buy Jell-O, but I have several packages of the Gosner shelf-stable milk, and so sometimes it would be nice if I needed to open the milk to use it for something, then I have some left over. I can use up the rest of the milk and make some Jell-O pudding. I found a box of 5-minute grits. These I thought were a good deal. I usually pay far more for grits in Alaska than $1 for a box, so I was happy to get a hold of these. I made a video before on how to make grits in your crock pot, and I also made one on how to make your grits into cheese grits, so I'll put a link to those videos if you're interested in different ways to prepare your grits. Potato gnocchi. These are like little potato dumplings and they're really good. I haven't seen them in a long time, and so I was happy to snap these up. If you're not familiar on how to use gnocchi, I have made a few videos about it, and you can check that out and see if it's something that you want to try. I was excited to find a big box of pasta, especially since it was 25% more. There are 20 ounces of pasta in this box for $1. And generally what I've been seeing lately in other stores is the pasta is not available for $1 a pound anymore, and this is $1 for more than a pound and a quarter. So this is a good way to have additional food in your prepper pantry. Pasta is a food that can last nearly forever, and one way that I like to store it is I just break these long ones in half. I insert them into a clean jar and I screw on the lid. I just want to keep out the air, and I've never had a problem with pasta not lasting. If you just put it in the cardboard box on your shelf though, you risk that critters can chew on the box or little things can contaminate it. And so the better you store your food, the longer it will last. So try to store your food the best you can, and foods like this need to be stored in an airtight container. These are the items that I picked up at the Dollar Tree today to add to my prepper pantry and my prepping supplies. Make sure that you're taking an inventory of all of the things that you have. Rotate your food so that it stays fresh as possible, and then pick up a variety of supplies for all of the different needs that you might have to help your life run as smoothly as possible every single day. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.